This is a video presentation of Chapter 1, Section 4 in the 7th grade textbook entitled Order of Operations. Order of operations is the process by which we evaluate expressions with multiple symbols. When we have addition and subtraction and multiplication and division and a square in a problem, we have to have a certain order in which we figure those things out. Not everything is worked left to right. That order is established with the order of operations. So, let's take a look at the definitions that accompany our discussion of order of operations here. We have numerical expression. That's an expression made up of numbers and operations. A numerical expression is an expression made up of numbers and operations. Order of operations, a rule for evaluating expressions. First perform the operations within grouping symbols, then evaluate powers, then multiply and divide from left to right, then add and subtract from left to right. Now what you see at the bottom of the screen on this slide that's being presented is the simplified list of order of operations. When we solve problems, we always start off and deal with things that are inside parentheses. When we have nested parentheses, which could happen here, that is parentheses inside of parentheses, we always work the innermost set and then work out. But if we just have one set of parentheses that have multiple things in it, that set of parentheses follows the remaining rule order. All right? So the remaining rule order says then I would tackle exponents next. So anything that's a power, right, or would represent a power would have to be tackled next. Then I'm going to multiply and divide from left to right. Now it does not matter if I see multiplication first or division first. Whichever one I see first is the first one I do. But again, I tackle them simply from left to right. And then adding and subtracting in the same step. Again, same logic. It does not matter which one I see first, adding or subtracting, that's the one I tackle. The list of order of operations has probably been expressed to you in the past as PEMDAS. PEMDAS is simply a mnemonic device to help you remember the order of operations. Parentheses, exponents, multiply, divide, add, subtract. Sometimes the statement that's used is, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, because it would be a helpful way to remember PEMDAS. Whatever you need to remember those, that's fine, but you do need to know that that order is important, and you need to know that order and be able to recite it as needed. So parentheses first, exponents, multiplying and dividing, adding and subtracting. So let's take a look at number 1 here. They're asking us to simplify the expression. Now you see quite a bit of detail here. What they're doing from line to line is they're going to eliminate the steps that they're using each time. So we've got the problem here, 3 plus 15 divided by 5. So remember, according to the order of operations, the first thing I would look for would be parentheses. But there are no parentheses to tackle in this problem, so I don't have to worry about that. The next thing, according to the order of operations, would be exponents, but there's also no exponents. And then I would look at multiplying and dividing. Well, I do have one of those here. As you can see, off to the right there, there is a division sign. So I'm going to tackle that division first. So I'm going to do 15 divided by 5 first, which changes into 3. Now this 3 and the addition sign in front, I haven't done anything with those yet. So all I do as I solve here is I bring that straight down. And this box here that's off to the right is filled in with the result of 15 divided by 5, which we already said was 3. Well, at this point, there's nothing left to do because it just says 3 plus 3. 3 plus 3 is, of course, equal to 6, and that's the simplified value of the expression. 3 plus 15 divided by 5 is equal to 6. Now, what I want you to see is if you just tried to work this left to right, it wouldn't work. If you just went left to right, it would be 3 plus 15, which is 18, and then 18 divided by 5, well, we're sitting there thinking about that one because we know that that's not even, because something like 15 divided by 5 would be, but 18 isn't. 18 divided by 5 Comes out to be 3.6. Not an integer at all, not exactly our answer there either. Right? The order of operations is essential in order to come up with the correct answer. Some calculators do order of operations, others do not. Usually a calculator where you can enter a full line of work and then press enter will do order of operations. But what's required there is you still have to put the problem in exactly as it's presented. If there's parentheses in a problem and you don't type them in on the calculator is not going to know that you mean to do that first. So it's essential that you put the problem in just as it is. If you have a calculator that doesn't let you put in a full line of a problem, you can only put in one thing at a time, like 3 plus 2, and then it has to do a calculation there before you can put in the next thing. Chances are that calculator is not going to do order of operations at all. So let's look at this problem now. B, a much longer problem, but no more difficult because we can handle it using the list of the order of operations. We've got 44 minus 14 divided by 2 times 4 plus 6. So, order of operations would say I would do parentheses first, but there aren't any in this problem. And then I would say I would do exponents, but there aren't any of those either. So we don't have to worry about either of those steps. So the next step then would tell me to handle multiplication and division. Well, as we work this problem from left to right, we can see that we do have both of those. We have a division, we have a multiplication. Remember, it does not matter which one you actually see first. We just work left to right. So it's not, it has to be the multiplication first, and then you go back and do all the divisions. You just work left to right. So I'm going to do this 14 divided by 2 first. Again, because I have to do division first. So that 14 divided by 2 is going to change into a 7. Now the rest of this stuff, the 44 minus and the times 4 plus 6, because we haven't done anything with that yet, that all drops straight down and we continue with it. The only thing that's changed is I've simplified this 14 divided by 2 into 7. Now, we still had another part of that one step left because then we saw there was a multiplication sign out here. So now I'm going to have to tackle that multiplication. Well, that multiplication there involves 7 times 4. So 7 times 4 is, of course, 28, which is what you see the middle's changed into. But again, this stuff in the front and the back, because we haven't done anything with it, just continues to drop straight down. Now at this point we're done with the multiply and divide step, so now we're on to the add and subtract step. And again, it does not matter that you do addition first and then subtraction. That's not the way this is done. It's just left to right. It's all together in one step. So whether you see the addition first or the subtraction first, if it's on the left, that's the one you do first. So we do have both of those. Of course, this is the last step, so that's all we could have left to do. So I'm going to tackle this 44 minus 28 first. 44 minus 28 is 16. And I still have yet to touch this plus 6, so it drops down. But now, of course, there's just one thing left to do. 16 plus 6. 16 plus 6 is, of course, 22. So when we solve 44 minus 14 divided by 2 times 4 plus 6, when it's all said and done with the order of operations, the result is 22. Now in example 2, they start to throw the parentheses at us. So now we have 42 minus 3 times 4, 3 times 4 is in parentheses, divided by 6. So the first step in order of operations says I want to tackle parentheses first. So the first thing I'm going to do here is deal with this 3 times 4 that's in parentheses. 3 times 4 is, of course, going to change into 12. So as you can see, we drop down here, that middle changes into 12. But the stuff that's in the front and the stuff that's in the back, because we haven't dealt with it yet, just continues to carry straight down as is. Now at that point, I've taken care of my parentheses, so I would continue down the list. The list would say exponents next, but there aren't any. Then it would say multiply and divide. As you can see at the end of the problem here, I do have a division. So that's what I'm going to need to tackle next. So I'm going to need to do 12 divided by 6 next, which is going to change into 2, which is what you see down on the next line here. They're taking the 12 divided by 6 and changing it into 2. Realize, as I've said many times now, this stuff that's in front, since we haven't dealt with it, just continues to carry down. And now it just says 42 minus 2. Well, the last step here would say add and subtract after we multiply and divide. But of course, that's all there is left to do, so I don't really need a rule for that. 42 minus 2 is going to change into 40. Now, this question is an example of the nested parentheses that we talked about earlier. We've got bracket parentheses, 26 minus 4 times 5, close parentheses, plus 6, close the bracket, squared. Again, when we have parentheses inside of parentheses, here we have this set of parentheses inside the brackets, which function as their own set of parentheses. We have to tackle this nested set first. Remember, when we work with the nested parentheses, we just use the rest of the order of operations rules, which would say exponents, multiply, divide, add, subtract. Since there are no exponents here, we do the multiplying and dividing next, which is this 4 times 5, which is changing into 20. All this other stuff in the front and the back, because I haven't dealt with it yet, just drops straight down. Now, still inside that nested set of parentheses here, again, this parenthesis set is inside the bracketed set. That's what makes these called nested parentheses. I have to do the 26 minus 20 now. 26 minus 20 is going to change it to 6, and all the other stuff drops down here. Now, you may notice that the parentheses have disappeared on this line, but the brackets have not. That is simply because we've now taken care of everything that's inside those parentheses. So there's no longer a reason to continue writing them. There's no operations or functions left for me to deal with there. Now, I'm still on the first step of order of operations, though, because I still have things that are inside parentheses. Inside these brackets, which function as parentheses, I have 6 plus 6. Well, that's got to change into 12. Now that I have that, again, you see the brackets have disappeared because I've taken care of everything inside those brackets. Now what I'm going to do is take care of the exponent. Notice the exponent was not inside the brackets up here. That's why I have not yet been able to touch it, because remember, I've been doing all the work that's things inside the parentheses. So I've got 12, and I'm going to square it. Remember, 12 squared is the same as 12 times 12. I'm using 12 in a multiplication problem 2 times. 12 times 12 changes into 144.